Hi, welcome to Sarawak. Today was pretty washed out and raining, so I'm going to make some abrasive paste. It's a simple recipe similar to a paste wax, but with the added ingredient of some form of abrasive powder. It has several prominent brands that you might be aware of, such as Yorkshire Grit or Axe Paste, but it's easy enough to make it yourself at home. The ingredients are beeswax, mineral oil, and I use pumice powder, but you can use any other abrasives such as Tripoli or anything else depending on how abrasive you want the paste to be. The bigger the particle, the more abrasive it will be, just like with sandpaper. The equipment needed to make this is just basic cooking supplies. The recipe is done by weight, so you will need to have a set of kitchen scales handy, something to stir the mixture, and of course a saucepan to prepare it in. Make sure you get a cheap metal saucepan rather than using one that your wife or mother will murder you for getting dirty. It doesn't have to be a good quality one, just a plain stainless steel one's great. I got this for 18 ringgit at a Giant a while ago and it's still working fine. You measure out the ingredients directly into the saucepan in a ratio of 1 to 4 to 1 of wax, oil and abrasive. So I use 50 grams of wax, 200 grams of oil and 50 grams of the abrasive. I use mineral oil that I got at an IKEA because it's a clear one and you don't want the color of the oil to stain whatever you're working on. You can use other types of oil if you like, such as walnut oil, but it will leave a bit of color in the wood. Keep the saucepan at a low heat. You don't need to cook anything, you just need to melt the wax. And once the wax is melted, you can turn off the heat. It doesn't take long at all, so just stay by the stove. Once the wax is melted, just give it a good stir to separate any lumps of abrasive that may be stuck together and wait for it to cool, stirring occasionally. You'll see that even if you stir the mix, the abrasive will sink to the bottom if the mix is still too thin. You don't need to keep stirring the mix continuously. It's more important to stir at the right time than all the time. You'll know that it's the right time to stir because the mixture will hold the abrasive and it won't fall back down to the bottom after you've stopped stirring. Once the mixture is thick enough to hold the abrasive, you can stick it in the fridge to cool down more rapidly and you don't need to stir after that point. Once the mixture is cooled, the abrasive won't settle to the bottom and the mix is ready to use. All of the ingredients I've used here are available online and it's a super easy recipe to make, so go for it. I hope this video has been informative and inspires you to make your own paste that you can use for your own projects. And remember, this was made in Sarawak.